We often don't realize that we are the key to our own happiness, and that happiness starts with healing and transformation. Whether you need healing, guidance, clarity, understanding, or just some honest sister talk to feel connected, heard, and supported, you are welcome and safe here. So join the conversation and be healed. Welcome to Soul Healing Conversations with your host, Roz Kincaid.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Roz Kincaid, and welcome to another episode of Soul Healing Conversations. Thank y'all for tuning in today, and I hope you all are doing well today and having a great week. Listen, Mercury retrograde is in full effect. Whew, I tell you what, boy, listen, we just gotta buckle in and do the best we can and just retreat and just do the best you can, okay? So listen, if you like what you hear today and would like to work with me one-on-one for some spiritual life coaching, you like a psychic or mediumship reading, or if you need some Reiki energy healing, then you can book a session with me at rozkincaid.com. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Soul Healing with Roz to stay connected and to learn more about all of the things that I'm doing. Speaking of which, after last week's episode, y'all, I had Nikki, psychic medium Nikki Tanks, and she and I had a conversation about life after death. And it was after that episode that Spirit laid it on my heart by way of my good girlfriend, Fancy Nancy, to host a series of virtual mediumship galleries. So listen, it's getting close to that time of the year where we start thinking about our loved ones who have passed away and gone on. And we start to miss Aunt Debbie, Uncle Boo, Grandmama them a little more than usual. And if that's you and you would like to get a message from your loved ones or would like to know that they're okay on the other side or you've never attended a gallery or you're just curious or even skeptical about mediumship, I would love it. Nothing more to connect with them on your behalf and to bring some comfort to you during the holiday season. Because I know that time of the year is a little hard for people. You know, I know for me, it's a special time. My grandmother, who passed away many years ago, her birthday was the day before Christmas. So get a little nostalgic and get a little misty-eyed around that time of year. So anyway, again, you can register on the events page on my website, rozkincaid.com, or you can just send me an email at hello@rozkincaid.com, letting me know that you're interested and you want more details. But listen, you got to be quick, though. You got to act fast because I'm keeping these events intimate and exclusive by limiting the number of attendees. And so I'm going to be hosting 4 of these online virtual galleries in November and December. And I'm holding the first one on Saturday, November 7th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And listen, just because we're in the States and you may not be in the States, those of you who are listening, but you want to join, listen, it's all good. It's virtual. Anybody, anywhere that wants to join can join. All right. So again, I'll be announcing more dates in the coming weeks, and it's an online event, and you can register on the events page at rozkincaid.com. So listen, you guys, I've got really, really special topic that I want to get into today. And so in today's episode, we're going to be talking about shamanism. And for me, for a few months now, I've personally been noticing more and more the term shamanism, neo-shamanism, shamanic practices, shamanic journeying. And I've become quite curious about shamanism and shamanic practices, and I'm sure many others have too. I heard of shamanism very early in my spiritual journey, but I just wasn't ready for it yet, I suppose. But, you know, Spirit has a special way of introducing you to new things before you actually decide to jump into them. You know, it's as if the height of Black Lives Matter and the murders of so many people in the Black community have triggered many of us to seek out our ancestral roots and the practices associated with them. And again, for me, the important part of adopting any practice is for me to do my work, for me to do the research and to ask questions so that I can have a clear understanding about the practice so that I can honor it and respect it because it's owed that. You're supposed to do that. You just can't be jumping into stuff and just doing it and don't know anything about it. Don't do that, all right? You're going to pay for it later. So I thought I'd bring the topic of shamanism to my platform, not only to inform myself, but to give an understanding of shamanism to us, also have this curiosity about it. So joining me in conversation today is Bridgette Scott, also known as Bree. Bree is a Reiki master, a medium, and a spiritual warrior. She took her shamanic walk in 2013. She's also the author of My Destiny, A Soul's Journey, as well as Jewel and the Conjurer's Curse. Sounds good. And she's also the owner of Beloved Temple in Woodbridge, Virginia, good old USA. So without further ado, you guys, welcome to the show. Bree, how you doing?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to have you on the show. And I thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show to help me personally have an understanding of this topic, of this practice. And, it's good to see someone, and I always say this, and I'm going to keep saying it, it's good to see someone who looks like me in the community that are doing other things like me, but can also teach me, So I really appreciate you being on today.
And I appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's just dive right into it. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I grew up in the city in New York. So my early years were surrounded by, a lot of things I saw very young. Mm-hmm. And my experiences with spirit began very young as well. So I was always a dreamer. From the time I remember life, I remember waking up in the morning, telling my mother, grandmother, whoever was around about my dreams. So dreams were of the first things that I remember. And I later migrated to Virginia and finished school and, everything here. So I've done that. And then, later on, I started to tap into my healing abilities.
Right.
And started incorporating that into practicing Reiki and doing mediumship readings for people. So I currently am writing. I wrote 4 books this year in process of publishing my last book for the year. And I recently started opened shop, and it's in Alexandria, Virginia, where I'm working out of the shop doing Reiki readings, selling my body products, and doing my classes as well.
Nice. I love to hear that. I love to hear women in general doing these types of things to service the community, to provide healing. I was actually just having a conversation with a classmate yesterday. We were kind of side chatting during the class, and and she and I were sharing back and forth how, our men, Black men, desperately need healing. They desperately need not just healing in the body, Bridgette. You know what I'm talking about. But our men are being attacked, it seems, not just on a physical level, but on an emotional and on a spiritual level too. And I feel like that the way that their healing is going to come is through the feminine. Yeah. And I'm starting to see that we are rising up, so to speak, and taking ownership of our gifts, not only for our own healing, but to pass that on and to help our men, help the masculine, because we need them,
Definitely.
I just felt like that was just so profound, and it just kind of just dawned on me, like, it's going to be us women who, and it's no shade to men, it's not that at all, but I just think that women are going to need to start to step into their natural abilities to nurture, to heal, and to be able to do this. And I have an appreciation for, what you just shared about yourself, and is, kind of similar to mine, with the exception of the shamanic piece, which, we'll get into, but I love hearing the stories of how people came to be. And, you're probably the third dreamer that I know now. So listen. So talk to us a little bit about what drew you to take the shamanic walk.
Well, it was shortly after I had encountered Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
I was sharing my dreams, and I was recording my dreams because I had a dream journal.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was speaking to my Reiki therapist, and over weeks sharing these dreams, she was the one that shared with me that I was a shaman. And I'd never heard the word before. So I then, of course, researched and looked into it, and everything just made sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I further, continued my research, and then I realized there was a shamanic rites course coming up, and that was in 2013, and I decided to read more up on those rites, and I felt that it was definitely for me, and I took that shamanic walk in 2013, and it just opened me up to, a lot of things that I had already encountered, but I just didn't really understand. It was just like the final puzzle pieces started coming together.
So other than the dreams, were you having, what other experiences were you having that spoke to shamanism and shamanic practices? Were there signs or symbols or?
Always signs and symbols every day, signs and symbols from animals, and just being outside. You may have a thought, and then an owl or an eagle will show up. And then for me, I'm a big researcher, so I always want to know what the message is,
Mm-hmm.
So each and every time it made sense, it resonated, and I just continued, documenting and keeping a journal of these things. And again, it always just made perfect sense.
Wow.
So I would just say in my day-to-day life, the animals that would show up, the dreams, the feelings, and reminders that I would get, even in the sky at times, if people really, really pay attention, and I know more people are now, there are messages in everything. There's messages in the clouds. There are messages, within the earth. If you take your shoes off and ground yourself, you can get messages from, Mother Earth, and so on and so forth. There are messages everywhere.
Wow. So just through, it sounds like not mainly, but one of the biggest ways of connecting and kind of tapping into this shamanic way of being or practicing comes from the earth, or comes from being out in the earth, connecting with the earth. Is that right?
Most definitely.
Okay. So let's go back just a little bit and talk about some of where, what shamanism actually is and where it originates. Can you share what your knowledge is about that?
There are various types of shamanism, and it all boils down to the area of practice, because you have people that are in Peru that are shamans, you have people that are from Africa that are considered shamans, but the word shaman, it may not be called shaman. You have people that, for instance, you have the witch doctors, the medicine women. In my opinion, those are shamans.
Okay.
Those people are shamans. They practice and, use herbs. They work with roots. They work with the earth, and their intention is to heal. So my roots, my great-great-grandfather was considered a witch doctor.
Wow.
He was a shaman. He healed people with plants. He healed animals. He did a lot of work in healing the community. And the beautiful thing about it is that I literally just found this out on my father's side. I didn't grow up with my father, so I'm still gathering and learning parts of his history. So my great-great-grandfather, he was a shaman, and I'm actually doing a lot of the work that he did without knowing up until here recently. So that's the beauty in it all when you can find your way back home without, even putting forth the effort to find your way back home. You just find your way back. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing when people can connect, and get back to their roots.
Absolutely. And you said it perfectly, that it's a beautiful thing when you are already in that lineage and you don't have to dig really too far. Ask some questions and look at your history, look at your lineage, and find that, hey, I'm carrying on the tradition, not so much the tradition, but I'm carrying on the gift, and it's right in my bloodline, and I'm fascinated, that just 2 generations, 3 maybe removed from you, like that's pretty close.
3.
Yeah, that's pretty close. And I'm just, talking here, but I would think that the intensity of your gift or the power of your gift is pretty strong. And I don't know. And again, Bridgette, forgive me because this is all new for me and I don't want to make any assumption, but I don't know how far removed from family members or ancestry, if that makes any difference in how intense, I guess the word is, or powerful your gifting is to heal. I don't know, but I would imagine that if nothing else, it's extremely fascinating to know that you can look right in your family line, right in your family tree, and find somebody that has gone before you and done all of this.
Yes, I'm very thankful. In fact, I gathered this information as I was wrapping up my novel, and I got a picture of my great-great-grandfather, and it was just, this feeling just came over me, and I felt his presence. And I had felt him before, but I didn't know who it was. So it was just this beautiful moment that I had with completing the novel and seeing this picture of my great-great-grandfather, Henry James, and then knowing his history and having that puzzle piece, because I was one of those people that was going to do the DNA testing because I didn't have that information.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
But I was so thankful when my aunt sent me the picture and gave me his history, because I'm looking at it like, okay, this is where this comes from,
Oh, wow.
And it was just priceless. And to this day, it's beyond priceless to have that information and not have to, go through DNA testing. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, because some people have to do that. But I'm, again, just thankful that it was given to me. I see it as a gift.
Wow, that's fascinating. Listen, we need to take a quick break. You guys sit tight. Bridgette and I will be right back with more on shamanism.
You have a passion, and from that passion, you've created a business. But how do you market and grow that business? Hi, I'm Emily of Shine Coaching and Consulting. I specialize in brand identity, website design, marketing consulting, and business coaching. I create a visual expression of my clients' ideas and help them develop a business strategy to meet their goals. Connect with me today at shinecoachingandconsulting.com. Be inspired, be real, be you.
The Voice America Live Events channel is here now to showcase your corporate, individual, or organization's live event. Visit voiceamerica.com/live events to see all of our past live events and find out more. Whether it's a multi-day conference, special speaker, or single-day event, we've got everything to make your event a success. We can do a few hours or a few days. For more information about taking your event to the next level, call Jeff Spinard at 480-294-6417 or email info@voiceamerica.com. Again, that's Jeff Spinard at 480-294-6417 or send us an email to info@voiceamerica.com. Voice America is where you are and where you want to be. Join us around the globe as we broadcast live from some of the most interesting events available. Don't forget to view all our live events, including on-demand access to past events that you may have missed by visiting voiceamerica.com/live events.
We're making it easier to listen to the Voice America Talk Radio Network wherever you go. In addition to listening live, you can check out information about your favorite talk show hosts, discover new talk show personalities, add shows to your list of favorites, and listen to all of our show archives on demand, all from your iOS, Amazon Kindle, or Android device. Download it from the Apple App Store, Amazon, or Google Play, and get ready to tune in. The Voice America mobile app, powered by Aircast.
You are tuned in to Soul Healing Conversations. If you would like to reach Roz Kincaid or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5788. That's 1-866-472-5788. You may also send an email to hello@rozkincaid.com. Now, back to Soul Healing Conversations.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Soul Healing Conversations. I'm your host, Roz Kincaid, and today I'm here with Bridgette Scott, and we are talking about shamanism. So before the break, Bridgette, you had shared that you had, I think it was your great-great-grandfather who you found. You kind of started down the road of looking at your ancestry, and I think you said you started to do the DNA testing, but started to find once you wrote your novel, to find that your great-great-grandfather was actually practicing medicine and healing and what you see as shamanism. And I just feel like that is just that's amazing. And I encourage people to, start to look into your ancestry, start to look into your lineage, because you don't know. You really don't have the fullness of who you belong to or where you come from until you start to get in them books and start to get online and start asking some questions and, start asking, the elders, I guess you would say. So I just think it's fascinating. But you had mentioned early on that actually, before I get into this, because I was about to ask you about symbolism, I had a question because I wanted to understand what it was like for you when you started to realize what was going on and how practicing your healing as a shaman, as a Reiki master, all of that, how did that impact and change your life when you started to kind of go down this road?
My life was changed dramatically. I didn't share. My Reiki journey began with being very sick. I was poisoned by black mold.
Oh, Lord.
And, me and my daughter, we both almost lost our lives. And my healing began with Reiki. And one by one, I was healed through Reiki. I had chronic lung disease, arthritis, fibromyalgia. They had classified me with sarcoidosis of the lungs. I was having Parkinson's symptoms, like my head would shake by itself. My hearing was going. Yeah, I was pretty bad off. There were days I could barely walk. And Reiki saved my life. Reiki literally saved my life and my daughter's life. So that aspect of my life changed with my healing, which I owe it to Reiki and a few other people and things, but Reiki was the root of my healing. And that's what encouraged me to learn Reiki and share Reiki with others because of what it has done for me. The shamanism aspect of it merged right in with the healing because it opened up, and just like I said, the puzzle pieces just came together. Everything that I had ever experienced, with my dreams, with the deja vu, with just the knowing, all of it just made complete sense. So again, it was just everything came full circle, and the beauty of it all is the healing that came from it, the emotional healing, the physical healing that I desperately needed, and the spiritual and the mental healing that came from it as well. So again, it literally saved my life. I'll just say that.
Wow. It seems not only just physically, but just Reiki that by itself, if you continue or if you can be consistent with it, because that healing is cumulative, it'll change you physically, but it'll also change you. It'll change your mind. It'll change the way you think. It'll change the way you feel. It'll change the way you are and the way you show up in the world. Like your vibration gets to be so high that you just don't have time for the low level BS that freaks people out. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, why y'all bugging?
Yeah.
Just chill. It's gonna be all right. but
right.
But moving on, because you talked about symbolism in your dreams and in the animals and in nature. Why? Well, I don't know if I want to say why, but can you talk about symbolism as it relates to shamanic practices and why symbolism is such a big part of shamanism?
The symbolism aspect of it, I feel, is personal. Not that I won't share, but I feel like the symbols, some of the symbols I feel are straight across the board, but then you have your own individual symbols that your guides will show you and present to you that you will have to distinguish the meaning for yourself.
So this is going to take some connecting, some sitting down, putting in the time and the effort to connect and commune with spirit. Now, that's a general term. I use that generally because that can mean your ancestors. That could mean God, if that's who you call him, that source, universe, whatever. That could mean the archangels, ascended masters, whomever. Some people connect to, other beings like the Pleiadians and all those people. But whoever it is for you, the bottom line is, and it sounds like what you're saying, Bridgette, is in order to understand what these symbols mean, you're going to have to connect with these energies. And you have to really do your work.
Most definitely. It's not straight across the board. And I tell people that, my symbol may mean something completely different for you. And then again, it may mean the same thing, but it would take that individual person, like you said, to sit and connect and make that connection and know for sure that is what that symbol means for you.
Now, do the symbols vary? I know they vary. They can vary from person to person because we're all different and we connect to, in different ways. But you also mentioned that there are different types of shamanism. So does the symbolism vary from the different types? Do Peruvian shamans have different symbols than Native American from, say, Siberian? Do they, or are there some general symbols that they all share?
The general symbols that are shared, I know, are the north, south, east, west. They have animals for each direction.
Okay.
I think those are straight across the board, but the Peruvian, we have the Peruvian, there's another tribe that I know of. I can't think of them right now. Some of them have their own unique symbols, but like I said, the directions are pretty much the same. So I've seen similar, and I've seen some that look completely different as far as the symbols.
Yeah, because, listen, I don't know about anybody else, and I don't know if it's where we live or or what it is, and I don't know if I'm sitting here trying to justify and play it off like it's something else, but it's really what I think it is. But eagles, hawks.
Oh, yes.
Bridgette, all the time. I see them all the time. And I mean, I thought eagles were distinct. I'm like, why am I seeing two eagles at the same time? Like, is anybody else seeing this but me? Like, why am I seeing two hawks? Like, what is that about? Feathers all over the place. Butterflies everywhere.
Yeah.
At one
butterflies.
point, girl, at one point I was seeing, not in real life, but for like a month and a half straight, I was getting the constant symbol of a snake. And I don't really like snakes, but, and not because it was summertime either. Yes. I'm like, oh God, what's going on? What you trying to tell me? What is really going on? and listen, y'all, if you want to know bad enough, it's exactly what Bridgette said. Go and do your research. Be nosy about it. Start getting curious, because what's been my experience, and I don't know if it's been yours, but spirit will continue to put those symbols out to you. It's almost like they're calling you to say, come see about me. Come find out what this is, what this is saying. Come get this message, because you need to know this. And so I guess what I'm thinking is that, can Reiki or can other healing modalities, do you have to practice that in order to practice shamanism or to start your shamanic journey?
Not at all. Not at all.
That's what I was thinking.
You don't have to do Reiki to tap into shamanism at all. I feel, too, that we place a lot of weight on titles. Because I don't generally even tell people that I'm a shaman. I don't share that. Typically, if someone asks me, I will. But I feel that just living life, just live your life. Get still in the morning. Connect with your higher self. Connect with your ancestors. Pay attention to nature. Keep a journal of the things that you see. Look up the meanings of the things that you see and tie them into your everyday life and apply them. To me, that's shamanism.
Right on. And you know what? That sounds simple. Like, I think also, in addition to what you said, is that we try to make this more difficult and complicated than what it really is. And I think that by doing that, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we don't give ourselves the space and the time to even try, and honestly, y'all, if it's important to you, you'll make time for it. Even if it's 5 minutes. Even if it's 5 minutes, if you're feeling the pull, the call to practice, a divination tool to learn more about ancestral practices. You don't need anybody to tell you, and that's the other thing, and that's kind of what I hear you saying behind what you're saying, Bridget. Is like, you don't need anybody to tell you who you are. You don't need anybody to tell you that you're a healer. You don't need anybody to validate your experience of spirit, because it is your experience, and it was your experience with your guides and your ancestors. And so you can't, that just don't come by waking up in the morning, just rolling out of bed and just moving on with your day.
Right.
I don't mean to fuss at people, but I feel like somebody needed to hear that. but
yes, and
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I tell people that all the time. People want to know, how do you tap into your intuition? How do you, build your psychic abilities? How do you, tap into shamanism? You have to get still. Go within. And I say it all the time. Going in is the way out.
It sure is. And reality check, it's not always feel good. It's not always fun, because there's healing that needs to take place there. And in order for there to be healing, you got to look at the shadow. You got to look at the darkness.
Oh, yes. That dark night of the soul is a scary thing, but you gotta be brave and get through it.
Yeah, I mean,
through them, because sometimes we have more than one. We have a couple of runs with the dark night of the soul. Yeah,
and it'll keep happening if you don't pay attention to it.
Right?
So, I mean, yeah, girl, there's a lot. There's a lot going on, and I think that now is the time that people are starting to become aware. And there's all types of resources out there, whether you want to explore shamanic journeying and by the way, what is shamanic journeying? As I say that, what is your definition of shamanic journeying? I hear that a lot.
Shamanic journeying is a deep meditation There's several ways you can do a shamanic journey. It can be a guided shamanic journey, meaning someone is guiding you, speaking you through a meditation, or you can do it yourself. You can do a shamanic journey on your own. A lot of people use drums to get into a deep shamanic journey, and it's really just a really deep meditation where you're connecting with either your guides, your ancestors, or whoever it is that you choose to connect with in your journey. So again, it can be a group meditation or shamanic journey, or you can do it individually. If you do it individually, you can either write one out for yourself or pull one up online or just use a drum and set the intention of what you wish to seek from your journey and just go from there.
Wow. You make it sound so simple. and yeah, you make it sound so simple. Like you don't need all of these bells and whistles, like the basic, like a drum beat. Like who isn't lulled into some type of, I want to say, trance by a drum. I know for me personally, singing bowls do it for me. Like singing bowls take me somewhere, and when I come back, it's like I'm floating, and I'm like, okay,
I love bowls.
I love bowls, and so I don't know if drums or bowls. Is it a personal preference, or does it have to be a drum for a shamanic journey?
It doesn't have to be a drum, but typically it is the drum, because the drum is that beat, that sound reminds us of the first sound we've probably ever heard, which was our mother's heartbeat.
Yes.
So that is the connection with the drum. And the drum is, in general, is a very powerful tool. So typically in shamanism, they do use drums. Some may incorporate singing bowls or chimes, so on and so forth. But in shamanism, yes, the ultimate tool is the drum beat because of the connection with, our first memory and our mother's heartbeat.
Interesting. Good point. That makes total sense. And yeah. I'm done. But I'm like, yes, no, that makes perfect sense. It pulls you back into to part of your root, part of your source, and it's the heartbeat. Yeah, it'll get you there for sure. So what else? What else can we find or expect through shamanic journeying, or what else can we use to kind of help us with that specifically?
I would definitely recommend for people to also look into their spirit guides, their animal totems. That's another part of shamanism that, is very important, I feel. The animal totems are connected to us, just like our regular guides are. They're pointed to us upon conception. So the animals that you love or always loved or always were attracted to, majority of the time, they're your animal totems, and they're around us to teach us, to protect us, and to guide us. So I would, point out to people, don't leave that aspect out because it's very crucial and very important, the animal totems. Again, what animals, for me, I love cats. My favorite is the Black Panther. And after reading up on the Black Panther, as I got older and I found the messages there, it just like really blew me away because that's who I am. The owl, intuition with the owl. Wow. The whale, the dolphin, all of those beings, all of them, have a message, they have an essence, and they have a connection to us. Wow. So, again, I do my best to remind people about their animal totems and the messages that they have for us, because that's a big part of who we are as well. Those characteristics, those aspects are huge parts of our being.
And on that note, we're going to take another quick break. You guys sit tight again. Bridgette and I are going to be right back to wrap the show and to wrap up this conversation on shamanism.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
You have a passion, and from that passion, you've created a business. But how do you market and grow that business? Hi, I'm Emily of Shine Coaching and Consulting. I specialize in brand identity, website design, marketing consulting, and business coaching. I create a visual expression of my clients' ideas and help them develop a business strategy to meet their goals. Connect with me today at shinecoachingandconsulting.com. Be inspired, be real, be you.
Follow the Voice America Variety channel on Twitter. Our hosts always have something to say, and we know that you do too. We tweet on today's hot topics, and you're welcome to follow us. Speak up and join in at Voice AM Variety. That's at Voice AM Variety.
Tune in to the Voice America Variety channel on the Voice America Talk Radio Network. Voice America Variety broadcasts a diverse array of topics, reaching a global community. Our experts come from all walks of life, and the topics they discuss are everything from current events, arts and entertainment, leadership, parenting, relationships, self-improvement, career advice, and a variety of other topics. Check us out today. You're sure to find something of interest. Voice America Variety. Talk on today's hot topics.
Are you finding your frequency? It can be described as that space between failure and success. It's the future of digital media. It's finding your voice. It's engaging topics, content, and ideas. Jeff and Ryan discuss the digital media space and all of its aspects. It's about making the mistakes, taking the chances, summoning the intestinal fortitude to step out of your comfort zone, and discovering what you can accomplish when you decide to try, decide to learn, decide that you have something to say, and find your frequency. Live Fridays at 12 noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Variety Channel.
You are tuned in to Soul Healing Conversations. If you would like to reach Roz Kincaid or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5788. That's 1-866-472-5788. You may also send an email to hello@rozkincaid.com. Now, back to Soul Healing Conversations.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Again, I'm your host, Roz Kincaid, and today I'm here with Bridgette Scott. And again, we are talking about shamanism, and I am enjoying this conversation with Bridgette Scott. She is just giving me these nuggets and giving me such validation about what I have been experiencing, and I believe many of us are experiencing as far as what we're seeing out in nature, what we are experiencing in our everyday life. And it's just refreshing. I was telling Bridgette, you guys on the break, how refreshing it is to hear someone talk about these spiritual practices, specifically shamanism, in a way that is relatable and that makes sense and that validates your everyday experience. Because sometimes, in this walk, you're just not sure. You're just not sure because it's not that it's new. Is that you're remembering. Thanks to Bridgette for reminding me that. So Bridgette, once you started to practice shamanism, how are you now using your knowledge and your gifts?
I do my best to share with others as much as I can what I know, the knowledge that I have acquired. I just do my absolute best to share, and bring, awareness to, any opportunity that I have to share with someone the meaning of something. So I just, again, do my best to share as much as I can.
Yeah, that's key. Especially for those who are kind of coming in behind us, and not that anybody is better or worse off because of where they are in their journey. But, you have to have some people go ahead of you so that they can gather the wisdom, gather the knowledge to be able to help inform, help edify, and help, kind of strengthen your resolve about who you are as a spiritual being, and that's it. We have to share the knowledge, and various perspectives count, not just one way of thinking. You need to gather all of the information and then use that to make your own informed decision about what it is you believe or what things mean to you, So definitely share it out, girl. Go on and share it out. So if for people who are, I don't want to say dabbling, but starting to explore shamanism and shamanic practices such as journeying, how can that enrich someone's human experience?
I feel that it enriches your life because you receive guidance. You receive, the proper guidance that you need. As you mentioned earlier, a lot of us, and it's okay at times because we need that confirmation. We do need guidance at times from others, but the ultimate guidance is from your higher self and from your ancestors. So I feel, just taking the time to get still and connect and receive your daily guidance is key for everybody.
Right. Absolutely. So I'm thinking about, because I grew up in a Christian home. We, went to church all the time. Very involved in church. Even up through adulthood, I was very involved in church until I started to explore, kind of move away from that. It just didn't resonate with me anymore. And I started to explore connection, relationship, like true relationship, and not form, fashion, or program. And
right.
And I guess my question is around behavioral patterns changing. You know how when you become saved as a Christian, you stop doing certain things, you stop talking a certain way, you stop hanging around certain people. Have you found that to be true in your situation as you have explored your spirituality and specifically shamanic practices and shamanism?
No, honestly, I personally didn't grow up in the church. And I've always just been free. Even when I was little, me and my grandmother were very close. She raised me, and that was the one thing we never agreed with was church. So for me, that wasn't my foundation. So there was nothing for me to break apart or pull away from. Wow. And I feel for me, it was just an ongoing thing throughout my life. Like I said, my dreams, the premonitions that I had, and it just everything just kind of flowed together. The sickness was, I would say, the bump in the road or the halt for me. But I see now and get now that needed to happen. I was supposed to get sick so that I would know how someone who was sick feels and know how to better help them heal. So I'm, able to see that from the sickness now as opposed to before when I was going through it. I may have been angry at times, but now I can see the other side of it all. Right. And for me, like I said, everything just it literally just flowed together. For me, from my youth to now. So I didn't have any, family members that looked at me any differently because that's how I've always been. I always, I was always, I always loved animals. I always lived my life a certain way. So the shamanic piece didn't change anything for me as far as relationships with people.
Right. I imagine that if anything, it enhanced it. It made it better because you were better, but you were elevated. I guess I don't know the word. You know what I'm trying to say, but I can't find the word that I'm trying to say. Like you were. I don't know. I don't want to say better because it's not like anything was wrong with you in the beginning. But it just you were different. You were awakened. You were expanded, and it just makes everything. Yeah. Everything else better, everything else is just on an elevated level and just the experience is more rich, I guess you could say.
Definitely enhanced.
I envy you people that did not grow up in church, because there's some work that y'all don't have to do that we church folks or people that came up in church really have to do with, just
I've heard
breaking
that.
off honey.
I've heard that, and I can only imagine. And I'm just thankful, to my mom and my grandmother for accepting the stubborn little girl that, just was like, no, this doesn't make sense. They didn't force me, and I'm so thankful that they didn't.
Yeah, you know what I see? I see the difference because my daughter is 3 and she's an Aquarius and she is very independent. And we are not churchgoers anymore. Even before COVID, we stopped going to church. And I can see children of these times are getting back to that type of being where they're free. And we as parents, at least my husband and I, we give our child, freedom to choose. Like, we've always given her a choice, even when she could walk. Which one do you want? Pink or blue, whatever.
Definitely.
Yeah. And teaching her that, girls can play with cars, just being free and not growing up with these rules, because I grew up with those rules and now I'm struggling with self-worth and self-value and breaking the rules. And am I going to be in trouble if I do this or if I don't do that? So, girl, ooh, lucky you.
And that's the beauty. That's the beauty in it. That's the beauty in it, though, because you're breaking traditions that you feel are no longer needed. So that is beautiful. And I can, share on that too. I have a daughter who's 20. And when my daughter was 3, I acknowledged her abilities because she literally cried at 3 years old at the dinner table with chicken on her plate. She's like, Mommy, I don't want to eat animals. I love animals.
Oh, baby. Aww.
And so she's been a declared vegetarian most of her life. She still does not eat any meat, any fish. And, when that happened, I thought about my childhood because I didn't want to eat meat either when I was little, but I was forced to eat meat. And I just said, I would never do that to my child. And, we learn from, our parents' mistakes. We learn from our own mistakes. And I just said, I'm going to give my daughter the freedom to choose, especially what she wants to eat. If it's healthy for her, then I'm going to, support her in that. And that is what I did.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Getting a little parenting insight here, y'all. So that's great stuff. So listen, we are almost out of time for today. But before we go, Bridgette, I would like for you to tell everybody how they can connect with you after the show.
Okay, I can be reached on Facebook. My Facebook name is Bridgette Scott, Briscott. My business line is 815-205-1711. My website is beloved, BELOVED -temple, TEMPLE.com.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much, Bridgette, for giving us your knowledge, sharing your knowledge and sharing your experiences, kind of helping us to better understand shamanism, shamanic practices, and giving us that feeling that, it's okay. You can go and explore this and, you're not going to get your hand slapped. And a lot of it is that we've probably been doing it, doing this and having these experiences this whole time and not even realizing it. So thank you so much for being on today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge once again. So speaking of sharing, share your thoughts about today's episode with me on Facebook and Instagram at Soul Healing with Roz. And if you need my support through spiritual life coaching or an intuitive reading or energy healing, please do consider booking a session with me at rozkincaid.com. And don't forget to register on my website for the Messages from Spirit virtual event that I'm hosting on November 7th at 12 p.m. That is on Zoom. Attendance is limited, so register soon. You guys meet me back here next Wednesday at 3 p.m., 12 noon Pacific time for another episode And until next time, y'all be safe, stay connected, get connected, keep your vibration as high as you can, and keep doing the work. Always do the work. Much love. Bye, y'all.
Thank you again for listening to Soul Healing Conversations. Please join Roz Kincaid again for another program next Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Variety Channel. We'll talk again next week.